Start Periscope. Okay, guys, all these devices. Hey, darling, how are you? How is everyone doing today on this Friday? Friday is that there ever a good time to broadcast on a Friday when you're talking to stylists and salon owners? I'm doing well, darling. Thank you for asking. So I picked the 2 o'clock time because sometimes there's a little dead space in there sometimes, like between that 1 and 2 o'clock time frame. So I'm not sure how many of you I will catch who are able to watch. Let me move the camera over so I can see Facebook's comments. But we'll get started. If you've never been in a live broadcast with me before, I am Tanya Wilson Cherry. I'm a business consultant and certified life coach. I have a 20 plus year background as a licensed cosmetologist in the beauty industry and 10 years as a former salon owner. I help beauty industry professionals like yourself form working systems in their business that are relevant, that help take them to their next level, help them maintain the customers they have, get new customers, and profit. My normal scheduled broadcasts are on Mondays and Wednesdays. Once a month, I do what's called a 7-day marathon where I broadcast about any given topic for 7 days in a row live. And we are actually on our marathon. And the topic that I chose for this particular marathon is salon ownership, right? What better topic to choose for hairstylists and salon owners other than salon ownership? And so what I'm doing in this particular marathon is kind of giving you guys my personal experience as a salon owner, going from a commission stylist to booth renter, platform artist, booth renter, and then salon owner, and then giving you guys some of my expertise and advice as a business consultant on what you can do in your actual business as well, or your pursuit as a hairstylist or salon owner. And we are actually on day 4. Guys, I don't have the videos aren't up for replay. They may be up for an hour at the most after they end. So hopefully you guys will catch it live. If you could do me a favor so more stylists have the opportunity to get the information. If you're on Periscope, you can swipe up or right to share with your followers, so someone else in the industry can get the information. And on Facebook, you guys can press the little share button on the left-hand side. That will allow you, and Kimberly is on the draw. I see you sharing on Facebook. I appreciate that, Kimberly. That will allow you to share out with another industry professional. And unfortunately, on Instagram, you guys can't share yet, but everybody, regardless of what platform you're on, if I say something that helps your business or pricks your heart, you can definitely tap the screen for hearts to show love, to express that the information is working for you. So, guys, my title, there's no title for Instagram. They haven't figured that out yet. So, but the title for this particular broadcast is Location, Location, Location. Does your location, your salon location, affect your profits? That's the big question. Does your salon location affect your profits? As I was preparing for, this particular broadcast, I just began to kind of walk back through my own personal time and the different places that I worked in my career and the different locations. And I kind of lined them up with, what some of the rules of thumb is. Now, we all know that to every rule there is an exception, right? Because one of the big things that you hear, and this may be something that you learned even in beauty school, because I can remember the words location, location, location. If you guys remember that, location, 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 put a 1 in the comments. If you guys remember location being an important aspect to where you have your business, put a 1 in the comments. Let me know if somebody else heard that same thing as well. And while you guys are commenting, I'll kind of walk you through my times and let you know what was happening with my clientele based on where it was that I was located. You have the awesome. So for a time, if you guys have followed me, I actually work with my mentor in Raleigh, which is about an hour and a half from where I'm actually located now. And when I left there, well, actually, what happened? My apartment caught on fire, like maybe 5 days before Christmas, and I was having a hard time finding somewhere to stay in that area. I was still relatively new to the area, although I had been up there for a while, because I basically went to work and then I would do a lot of traveling or things like that on the weekend. So I didn't know a lot about the area. Couldn't seem to find, an apartment. So I went back to where I originally was. Hey there, how are you? Is that Demetra? 3820 on Instagram, which was Greenville, North Carolina, and I was able to get an apartment. So this left me in a position where, I can't just jump cities and I don't have a clientele, because that's not how it works in the industry that we're in. So for a little over a year, I drove about 2 hours, guys, 2 hours to work and 2 hours back, while I built the clientele in Greenville, North Carolina. And the place that I started working at in Greenville, North Carolina, was on the west side of town. Hello, somebody. Now, I don't care what city you go in. Most oftentimes, the west side of town is the same. Pretty much wherever you go, it's the same. I think one of the great things for the location that I started working at when I moved back to Greenville was that it wasn't far from the hospital. And you guys stay with me, because I'm going somewhere and you'll be able to take what I'm telling you from my experience. And I'm also going to give you guys some things that you can do, and look for as far as your locations if you're planning to open a salon, or if you're already in a salon, some marketing things that you can actually do in within that vicinity that's gonna help your business to grow and pick up and prosper, and you to gain customers. So that particular location, as I said, was on the west side of town. The owner ended up selling the business to her uh, stepdaughter, who worked there as well. And we moved to a new location maybe about 7 months after I started working there. Now, guys, regardless of whether or not it was on the west side of town, I was able to build a clientele in about 6 months, right? And so, as I said before, there's an exception to every rule, because I do feel the location plays a part in your clientele. And I'm going to tell you why or how as I'm walking you through, my transition from one place to the next. So we moved to another salon. It was only up the street. Now, mind you, I had built a clientele in 6 months that I was comfortable with, but I definitely saw a significant change when we moved, although we just moved right up the street. And one of the reasons, the salon that we were working at, it wasn't up to date. It wasn't anything fancy at all in that particular salon. So when we moved, the environment changed, right? Remember, I tell you guys, people come to you for the environment, the atmosphere, and your skill set. All of those play a part. So my clientele just really began to pick up, and we were even closer to the hospital. Now, I'm going somewhere because many of our clients ended up being people who worked at the hospital. And you guys know that their salary ranges, right? You guys hear me? Their salary ranges tend to be people who really can afford most of the time to have their hair done on a regular basis. And so after working there for about 5 years as a booth renter, I then moved into my own salon, and I moved all the way on the other side of town. Probably 95% of my clients followed me, but not 95% of them stayed with me. I'm going somewhere, right? They followed me, but they didn't stay with me. And I didn't, I saw the change in my clientele, but it wasn't drastic because I was marketing, right, for new clients. And the area that I moved in, I was actually, not that black white makes a huge difference, but if you only service, African American hair, then it makes a difference when you move into an area where not a lot of people who are African American live or come to. And that's kind of what I did, right? I was the only African American business on that. It was a boulevard on that side of the street, like for miles. And so what I knew I needed to do, fortunately, I was able to service all types of hair. Hair was hair to me. So I didn't have an issue with, who I was serving based on whether or not it was African American hair or Hispanic hair or Caucasian hair. But I knew I needed to do something to bring those general people who were in that vicinity into my salon. And one of the questions that a young lady asked on my broadcast on yesterday, she asked me if I thought it was a great idea to have her price list in her window, right? And this is what I shared with her. I told her I didn't think it was the greatest idea unless she was somewhere like a Supercuts or one of those places who really focused on servicing clients who wanted inexpensive haircuts, right? She said she was a high-end salon. And you guys, you have to listen to the full of the message. Hey Zion, hey Lester, hey there, how are you? I had to make the name actually click with who you are. Thank you for joining the broadcast on Instagram. So, as I was saying, where was I? Kind of lost my train of thought. We are on Arlington Boulevard. Oh, she was asking about, placing her price list in the window, and she said that she was a high-end salon. What you guys have to understand is who your target market is. And I know I repeat that a lot because it's so important, guys. And many people are trying to market their business to the masses when in actuality, their business services a certain segment of people. And until you find out who those people are, you're not going to know how to market to them. So for instance, the young lady on yesterday said she was a high-end salon, but she had her price list in the window. One thing that I realize is most people who are willing to pay for high-end services, not that everyone doesn't think of cost, because they do, but most of the time people in a high-end business, they look at value before they do cost, right? And so one of the things that I put in my window instead of like a price list, because we do want to take advantage of the window space that we have. We don't want to fill our entire window up with decals and things of that nature. But because I knew I needed to gravitate the clientele that was in that vicinity, because studies show that people, especially for a hair salon, normally don't want to drive over 14 minutes to get to your location. Now, remember I said before, there's exceptions to every rule, because I had people who drove from Raleigh, from me moving, who still came to me to get hair services done. So there's an exception to every rule, but 90% of your clientele is not going to drive 2 hours to come and have services with you. And so when you're thinking about your location, where you're going to open your business, or if you're already in a particular location, you have to think about marketing to the people who are in that particular area. You guys understand me? If you get that, put a 1 in the comments. I see you guys on Facebook. I can't see who's in the room. Yeah, I think Kimberly's in the room, but I can't see who else. Say hello in the comments so that I can address you. And so your location, it does make a difference. Remember, guys, I said when I moved from the west side of town to the opposite side of town, to Arlington Boulevard, where there weren't nearly as many African American businesses or people, I realized that I had to do things to capture the people that were in that area. And so what I actually put in my window was one of the products that I use. And if you're a stylist, hey there, His and First, how are you? Thank you for joining. If you're a stylist and you've heard of Redken products, put me in the comments. If you've heard of Redken products, most of us have, put me in the comments. And Redken is the color line that I actually still use on the few VIP clients that I still service. But we all know that Redken is not necessarily the first product line that you think about when you're thinking of African American, right? But one of the things that I put a decal in my window saying Redken products offered here. And I got a lot of people to come in asking me about my services because I had that particular decal in the window. I needed a way to captivate on the different cultures that were in the location that I had. Remember I said statistically, people are only willing to travel about 14 minutes in order to come to a hair salon, about 14 minutes. So when you're thinking about the location that you're in, or the location that you're planning to have your business in, you may want to consider that, because those are going to be the general people, right, that are in that local area that you're going to be marketing to. It's not to say that people won't come from different areas to come and service you, but your greater opportunity for marketing to people and having them actually come is going to be within about 14 minutes of the general location that you're at. For instance, my new location, I was 5 minutes away from East Carolina University, right? And I was 5 minutes away from the hospital. And so, because my target market were women between the ages of 34 and 50, professional women between the ages of 34 and 50, I still could capitalize off of that because of what was in the general area. And this is why I tell you guys it's so important to know your target market. For instance, you know, um, if you find that a lot of your, okay, let me say it like this. There are people who shop at Walmart, right? And see, a lot of times when we get into this aspect of target marketing, some people may have the idea, well, I service anyone. I do too. Like, it didn't matter who came in, who could pay for the services and, connect it with our vision. I didn't have a problem with that. It didn't make me not difference, right? However, you have to know that people tend to flock in different areas. And so there are people who shop at Walmart, and then there are people who shop at Target or Target, right? And TJ Maxx. And then there are people who just may shop at Neiman Marcus. All of those are part of your target market. And so if you open a salon that's in a shopping center near Walmart, but your customers are normally customers who shop at Neiman Marcus, most of the time it's because they're in a different salary bracket. You guys hear me? This is a side of business that, we sometimes overlook, or we move to a certain location and we wonder why, our clients aren't coming to us. But mainly it's because maybe that's not where our target market shops. That's not where our target market lives or where they work, because people generally come to places that they can get to within about 14 minutes from where they work, live, or spend a lot of time shopping or doing things of that nature. So your location does make a difference, guys. However, I have seen people who have locations that you can't even see from the street, right? It's not even on the best side of town, and they stay packed. They stay packed. But 9 times out of 10, they stay packed with their target market, right? And so those things do make a difference. There's a place that you guys can go online. It's called brightlocal.com. Brightlocal.com. And it talks about the amount, some statistics that have been done about the amount of time that people will drive to come to different locations. And one thing that they noticed, age really didn't play a difference as much as the distance, because regardless of what the age bracket was, it was still pretty much the same distance that people were willing to travel to come to a business. And guys, let me do a quick piece of house business before I finish the broadcast, because I wanted to make sure to invite you guys to this. I'm actually doing, for those of you, brightlocal.com, absolutely. And it kind of gives you some statistics about how far people statistically are willing to go for different events or different businesses based on the type of business that you have. And for hair salons, it was about 14 miles, right? It was about 14 miles. And so based on where you are, guys, you guys may feel like you might not be getting new customers in because you're not marketing to the people within the vicinity that you are actually in. And so, quick thing, I'm doing a free question and answer session for 3D Success Mentorship and Branding Bootcamp. I've had people who've asked a lot of questions about the bootcamp. I realize that and I also realize that it's an investment, and people want to make sure that that bootcamp is what they need, or it's going to benefit them, and they want to know the value in the bootcamp. So I'm actually going to do a question and answer. If you guys are thinking about purchasing the mentorship and branding bootcamp, and you still have some questions, and so if you need some more information about it, you want to make sure that you're making a commitment that's going to work for your styling career or your salon, I'm going to do a question and answer session. So you guys can just put your email in. It'll send you a link so that you can get into that question and answer session, and you can ask all the questions that you need about the program before making the investment, because I realize it is an investment. Just explain to you guys what each week is going to be, what it's going to entail, and then you can decide how it's going to help your hairstylist career or your business. Although I'm pretty confident that just about any stylist who's new in the industry, who is reinventing themselves, or who needs help will gain valuable information from the boot camp, but I wanted to provide an opportunity of comfort before you guys hit that buy button, right? If you had any questions. So that was a house business. So just remember when you're marketing or when you're choosing a location that your target market is going to make a difference, because people are only going to come statistically, right? For the most part, about 14 miles. You guys can think for yourself. I know for me, if I need a particular product, sometimes I'm saying, what's the closest thing that I can go to get it, right? Sometimes I'll choose Dollar General over the Walmart up the street, and definitely over Target, because I live about 20 minutes, from Target. Although I might prefer to go to Target, but sometimes we do things out of convenience, right? And so, guys, that's one of the things. Location does matter. Location, location, location. And so you can take the area that you're in and begin to form relationships with other businesses that are in the area who also service your target market, right? I've talked about that inside my private group, where you guys can do swap promotions. Swap promotions with the businesses in your area, in your local area. Not to say that you can't market to maybe the hospital or the college that's 30 minutes on the other side of town, but just human nature. People are often looking to come and have services, somewhere that's a great place that they want to go, but also that's convenient. Are there any questions about, determining your location for opening a salon, or some possible marketing that you can do for the particular location that you're in? Any questions? Guys, today's broadcast is short and sweet. It's to the point. The information is just straightforward, right? It's not a lot of guesswork behind location. You do need to know your target market, and I think that's why a lot of people are struggling, because they aren't sure who they service. They aren't sure of the likes and dislikes of the people that they service the most, or the income bracket of the people that they are looking to service. And so they're mass marketing to people who aren't, interested in what they're selling, right? So guys, that's my take. Location, location, location. And yes, it does affect your profits. Of course, there's an exception to every single rule out there. But when you're developing your business and your location, you don't want to say, I'm going to be the exception to the rule, necessarily, right? You don't want to go on hopes. I'm hoping that I can just break the mold and be exceptional to the rule. Those are some things that you guys will want to think about when you're determining your particular location. And if you already have a salon, if you're determining who it is you're going to market to. So begin to market not just on social media, right? It's a huge, remember I said, business is like a piece of pie, and there are so many different aspects to the business. And so you do have to have local exposure in the community. Great information. Thank you for sharing. You're wonderful. You're welcome, dear. You're welcome. So you do have to have local marketing as well as your social media marketing. And on social media, it's even more important that you know your target market, because, it's a huge World Wide Web. And so people are frustrated. They're like, I'm posting my stuff, I'm sharing my stuff, but are you sharing it to people who actually want what you're offering? And it makes a huge difference. So guys, that's my take on today for salon ownership, day 4. I will be on tomorrow. Probably, maybe I'll do a little later so that you guys can catch it, for those of you who are slaying behind the chair on tomorrow. But I'll definitely make a notice on my social media platforms in advance to let you guys know the exact time that I'll be on. I thank you guys as always. Make sure to share out with your followers. Tap the screen for hearts to show love, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow. We're going to talk about systems tomorrow, right? Systems that are going to work for your salon business. Peace.